Thank you. We really appreciate that warm welcome. Excuse me, I'll make a little bit of noise here. That warm welcome really gets me started, wakes me up, and lets me know that someone is out there paying attention. and if anybody, if anybody cares or not, that really means a lot. Okay, so how are you guys doing? And today is Saturday morning, and we're getting off to a good start here. I'm going to be doing what I hope to be. It should be a very revealing podcast, and we're going to cover a lot of information here. But I'm going to be preparing my morning concoction of drinks, things that get me energized and give me a lot of nutrients and you name it, trace elements and minerals. All these things are going on with the preparation when I prepare my morning concoction of different things that I use to make sure I'm fortified throughout the day. So having said all of that, my name is Monty, owner of DPL Surveillance Equipment. We're a full-service surveillance and security equipment company. We have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products. We have 24/7. Oh yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate it. We have We have 24/7, 365 tech sales and customer support. Thanks again. We have the largest inventory of items that not only can you buy, but you can rent and lay away as well. Sorry about that. We have a humongous video library. That's where we actually demonstrate the videos, the bug detectors, GPS trackers, nanny cameras, body worn hidden cameras, all of the products that we sell on our website. We try to demonstrate them in the video library. So go there and check out and watch us demonstrate your favorite trackers, bug detectors, nanny cameras, audio bugs, audio listening devices. All these things are demonstrated, including we have these dramatic spy skits, what we call spy skits. We're the only company in the industry that decided to, act out in a skit format, where the interaction between a quote-unquote customer and a technician or engineer or someone knowledgeable answering questions about counter surveillance, GPS, jammers, and blockers, and all these things. So that's where we act out. It's almost like a cheaters type of show, whereby we have actors doing the Q&A as far as answering your critical questions. Okay. Thank you for that. So that's we have all sorts of innovations here at DPL Surveillance Equipment, including the layaway program, where you get a chance to lay away your favorite spy gadgets and toys, and you choose whether or not you're going to pay it off in a month or 6 months or 12 months. You choose the financing agreement, and we just charge your credit card accordingly. So we make it. We want you to make it affordable. We want to make it affordable so that you can have your favorite state-of-the-art, law enforcement grade spy gadgets available to you after by laying away the product. And the rental program is a rent-to-own program. So for those who want to rent initially and then maybe convert that rental into a purchase. Thank you. So a lot of customers have used the rental program as a rent-to-own program, or try before you buy type of program. So you can do that as well, and we encourage that. Thank you. And of course, we have an abundance of anti-terrorist products, explosive detectors, X-ray baggage scanners, narcotics detectors. We ship them all over the world. We've sold millions of dollars worth of anti-terrorist products to such organizations such as the Saudi Arabian Ministry of Defense, hotel chains as far as Egypt. We're selling a lot into the African market on Africa. Universities, etc., have been purchasing our explosive detectors and such on the African continent. And then in the United States, we have post offices, for instance, who like our X-ray baggage scanners, and then there's airports, federal buildings, and such, who also like those products as well in their post offices, etc. So, thank you. I'm glad someone appreciates that. But this particular session, if you have any questions, give us a call, 888-344-3742. That's 888-344-3742. Now, this session here is all about policing. In the title, it mentions smart policing, competition, and why should you care? Excuse me. Now, the reason why I think this is very critical and a lot of people should be concerned is police departments over the years, they haven't changed very much in terms of what they do, and a lot of what and how they do it hasn't changed much, but they're very critical as far as the roles they play in our neighborhoods and such. And see, a lot of times we have what are known as these sacred cows, where someone says, okay, let's not touch the way these guys operate. Let's not, if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Or this is one of those cherished industries, we have a number of industries, for instance, that just haven't changed very much, really, when it comes to innovation and different ways of operating. The banking sector, right, is one of those dinosaurs that where you walk into a branch and you sit down, you talk to someone, and they try to screen you and determine whether or not you qualify for a loan or something. But because there has been a little bit of innovation by competitors, thank goodness, now you can have an app on your phone and you can do your banking and even apply for a car loan or a mortgage or something. But in the policing area, we don't really have a whole lot of competition. We don't really have smart policing. And I think therein lies the problem. For instance, police departments, for the most part, are protected. Police officers, rather, are protected by unions. Unions are a holdover from almost a bygone era, only because, once upon a time, unions played a critical role in terms of bargaining and negotiating for wages and such. But nobody really cares so much about unionism anymore because, moving into the 21st century is just one of those situations where a lot of employees and employers and managers have taken upon themselves to determine amongst themselves how much you get paid when you work, when you don't work, and all that. With Uberization of the world in the shared economy or whatever, everybody's competing. There's competition, right? If you want to work for this company or that company, you compete almost like a independent contractor nowadays. And I think it's about time the police department takes a look at the same thing. This is one example here. Why? I wrote an article called Confidence in Police Departments Reaches a 20-Year Low. And the reason why that's important is because a lot of people, again, depend upon these police departments to give them the confidence that there's that the police departments are doing a good job. Surveys today, okay, wait a minute, let me see, where do I want to start here? Ronald Reagan famously stated, "The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, 'I'm from the government and I'm here to help.'" Okay, but should we apply such thinking to the police? The answer depends on whom you ask. Many liberals who otherwise defend every government program and unionized job believe that the police are increasingly abusing their power. And at the same time, many conservatives who otherwise complain about unaccountable government officials consider the police department beyond reproach and say that any form of depolicing, or I'll just change it to competition, will make America less safe. Crime has decreased significantly in the past 2 decades, and many attribute the outcome to the proactive broken windows policing first advocated by the James Q. Wilson and George L. Kelling in a 1992 article. The theory goes that arresting offenders for minor crimes like loitering or drinking in public leads to a mean of order that in turn discourages major crimes. Citizens will be better off with and thus prefer police playing an active role in the community. So, there's good and bad news in that sentence, or that paragraph right there, talking about certain groups are feeling very uncomfortable with policing and the way it's handled, and certain other groups, more conservative groups, are they feel a little bit more reassured that, if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. Surveys today, though, show citizen confidence in the police at its lowest point in 20 years. It has dropped among Americans of all ages, education levels, and incomes and races, with the decrease is particularly pronounced among the young and minorities. According to a USA Today Pew Research Center poll, only 30% of African Americans say that they have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in the police, and 9 out of 10 say that the police do an only fair or poor job when it comes to equal treatment and appropriate force. So it looks like 30% of African Americans say that they have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in the police, and 9 out of 10 say that police do an only a fair or poor job when it comes to equal treatment and appropriate force. 9 out of 10 Americans surveyed say that officers should be required to wear body cameras to check police violence. So the article goes on talking about some specific killings. The past month has seen extraordinary killings, both by police officers and police officers. In St. Paul, Baton Rouge, and Dallas. All across the political spectrum, people agree that American policing is in turmoil, but different groups emphasize different approaches, different aspects of the crisis. Where Black Lives Matter protesters emphasize the danger of being killed by police, Blue Lives Matter counter-protesters emphasize the risk faced by hard-working policemen. The issues are so polarizing as to leave little room for considered thought or discussion. So anyway, this article goes on about homicide rates and such. And one thing I wanted to bring to you guys' attention specifically is because when it comes to reporting, that's where we have a major issue. And you police officers know full well that of all things that make the police department or agency or structure, what makes it worthwhile and pertinent in today's society is all about reporting and accountability. And this article that I'm blogging about, hundreds of police killings go undocumented by law enforcement and FBI. Again, hundreds of police killings go undocumented by law enforcement and the FBI. When 24-year-old Albert Jermaine Payton wielded a knife in front of the police in this city's southeast corner, officers opened fire and killed him. Yet, according to national statistics intended to track police killings, Mr. Payton's death in August 2012 never happened. It is one of hundreds of homicides by law enforcement agencies between 2007 and 2012 that aren't included in records kept by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. An analysis of the latest data from 105 of the country's largest police agencies found more than 550 police killings during those years were missing from the national tally, or in a few dozen cases, not attributed to the agency involved. The result, it is nearly impossible to determine how many people are killed by the police each year. Public demands for transparency on such killings have increased since the August shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown by police in Ferguson, Missouri. The Ferguson Police Department has reported to the FBI just one justifiable homicide by police between 1976 and 2012. So that's kind of revealing, just to have one justifiable homicide reported within such a large time frame. 1976 and 2012. That's in Ferguson, Missouri. Okay. Law enforcement experts long have lamented the lack of information about killings by police. When cops are killed, there's a very careful account, and there's a national database, says Jeffrey Fagan, a law professor at Columbia University. Why not the other side of the ledger? Okay, and I think that's important right there. When you kill a cop, all the resources, all of the manpower is focused all of a sudden on figuring out who did it and how to resolve it, and quickly. But on the other side of the coin, when it's civilians and killed, then it's different. Systems aren't, for some reason, communicating and documenting and accounting for these deaths when it comes to civilians versus police officers. Police can use data about killings to improve tactics. Okay, let me say that again. Police can use data about killings to improve tactics, particularly when dealing with people who are mentally ill, said Paco Valderrama, a spokesman for the Oklahoma City Police Department. It's great to recognize that, because 30 years ago we used to not do that. We used to just show up and handle the situation. So I think that's kind of revealing, because gone are the days where you just show up and handle the situation. Nowadays, you really have to have some idea of what you're getting into. You know, showing up with a gun and a badge and a suit and all of that is one thing, but showing up with information, education, and experience and competent police officers, that's quite another thing. 3 sources of information about deaths caused by police: the FBI numbers, figures from the Centers for Disease Control, and data at the Bureau of Justice Statistics differ from one another widely in any given year or state, according to a 2012 report by David Klinger, a criminologist with the University of Missouri, St. Louis, and a one-time police officer. So, just to reiterate, there's 3 major sources of information of deaths caused by police. Again, it's the FBI has their numbers, and then you have figures from the Centers for Disease Control and data, and then you have the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Okay. To analyze the accuracy of the FBI data, we requested internal records on killings by police officers from the nation's 110 largest police departments. 105 of them provided figures. Okay, so you ask for 110, you get 105. Okay, and then let's keep going here. Those internal figures show at least 1,800 police killings in those 105 departments between 2007 and 2012, about 45% more than the FBI's tally for justifiable homicides in those departments' jurisdictions, which was 1,242 according to our analysis. Nearly all police killings are deemed by the departments or other authorities to be justifiable. Okay, the full national scope of the underreporting can't be quantified. In the period analyzed, 753 police entities reported about 2,400 killings by police. The large majority of the nation's roughly 18,000 law enforcement agencies didn't report any. So it looks like the reporting of of crimes is all over the map. It's dependent upon how a police department interprets whether something is justified or not. That determines whether or not it gets reported, it looks like, according to these articles, you guys. So it looks like we have a fundamental issue going on with people in the police departments determining whether or not their data is subject to be reported or not. Let's keep moving on. This is kind of revealing here. Does the FBI know every agency in the United States that could report but has not chosen to? But has chosen not to? The answer is no, said Alexia Cooper, a statistician with the Bureau of Justice Statistics, who studies the FBI's data. What we know is that some places have chosen not to report these for whatever reason. FBI spokesman Stephen G. Fisher said the agency uses established statistical methodologies and norms when reviewing data submitted by agencies. The FBI staffers check the information and then ask agencies to correct or verify questionable data, he said. Now this is a smoking gun right here, mainly because it looks like the FBI knows full well there's a very large discrepancy in terms of the information that is reported versus what you call from individual departments when you look at when you go to individual departments and get their stats. So why aren't those records matching more? In other words, if every police department is submitting crime stats to the FBI or the Bureau of which one is it? The Bureau of Justice Statistics or something they call it. The Bureau of Justice Statistics, then that information should be very, very close. There should be such a major discrepancy as far as the numbers are concerned, you guys. Let's move on here, then we'll review a little bit. The reports to the FBI are part of its Uniform Crime Reporting Program. Local law enforcement agencies aren't required to participate. Some localities turn over crime statistics, but not detailed reports describing each homicide, which is the only way particular kinds of killings, including those by police, are tracked by the FBI. The records, which are supposed to document every homicide, are sent from local police agencies to state reporting bodies, which forward the data to the FBI. So it looks like you have a voluntary situation. Local law enforcement agencies aren't required to participate. So I don't know how you have a database, a reliable database of crime statistics available to the public, journalists, reporters, etc., without having a mandatory requirement. So again, this is very revealing. Our analysis identified several holes in the FBI data. Justifiable police homicides from 35 of the 105 large agencies contacted by us didn't appear in the FBI records at all. Some agencies said they didn't view justifiable homicides by law enforcement officers as events that should be reported. The Fairfax County Police Department. This is funny. The Fairfax County Police Department in Virginia, for example, said it didn't consider such cases to be an actual offense, and thus didn't report them to the FBI. In other words, a police department who actually may or may not be participating in a crime, because police officers and departments, they sometimes they make mistakes, right? But if the department itself decides that this shouldn't be reported, how do you do an unbiased investigation when they're not even revealing the details or any information at all, for that matter? Okay. For 28 of the remaining 70 agencies, the FBI was missing records of police killings in at least 1 year. 2 departments said their officers didn't kill anyone during the period analyzed by us. About a dozen agencies said their police homicides tallies did match the FBI's because of a quirk in the reporting requirements. Isn't that amazing? You're telling me that the software or the way we report it, there's some sort of glitch in the system, so that's why we killed a whole bunch of people or something, and that's why we didn't get the information over to you, over to the FBI. That's amazing. I don't know how that happens to me personally. Okay, let's move on here. Incidents are supposed to be reported by the jurisdiction where the event occurred, even if the officer involved was from elsewhere. For example, the California Highway Patrol said there were 16 instances in which one of its officers killed someone in a city or other local jurisdiction responsible for reporting the death to the FBI. In some instances reviewed, an agency believed its officers' justifiable homicides had been reported by other departments, but they hadn't. Okay, so I'm glad you guys cheered, because that particular paragraph is very revealing. You can have an officer cross into the jurisdiction of another police department's territory, for instance, and one guy says, Bill, make sure you report this, and the other guy says, okay, Pete, why not, just trust me, I'll go ahead and report it. In other words, there's a verbal agreement that, maybe you'll report it or maybe I'll report it, right? And then you find out, okay, no one reported it. That's because you're leaving it up to the officers to determine whether or not they believe. In this case, they used the word believe. Someone believed that the other guy was going to do it, right? But in actuality, someone gets killed, and the officers are just hoping that someone reports it, when in actuality, neither of them reported. Okay? So they talk about Keystone Cops. This is amazing. I don't know how do you get paid for doing a job like this. Somebody has a whole lot of extra money that they just throwing out there as far as the police departments are concerned. Listen to this. Also missing from the FBI data are killings involving federal officers, of all things. Looks like the federal officers are also involved. Police in Washington, D.C. didn't report to the FBI details about any homicides for an entire decade, beginning with 1998, the year the Washington Post found the city had one of the highest rates of officer-involved killings in the country. In 2011, the agency reported 5 killings by the police. In 2012, the year Mr. Payton was killed, there again are no records on homicides from the agency. So it looked like you can go to your newspaper, your local newspaper, and you can find deaths in there. But when you summons the records from the police departments, they'll show no deaths. So that's amazing. I don't know how that works. Okay, D.C. Metropolitan Police Chief Kathy Lanier said she doesn't know why the agency stopped reporting the numbers in 1998. I wasn't the chief and had no role in decision-making back then, says Ms. Lanier, who was a captain at the time. When she took over in 2007, she said reporting the statistics was a nightmare and a very tedious process. So it's too hard. I mean, it hurts my fingers to go to the computer and put the reports in. That's the excuse. according to Ms. Lanier. Ms. Lanier said her agency resumed its reports in 2009. In 2012, the agency turned over the detailed homicidal records, she said, but the data had an error in it and was rejected by the FBI. So the FBI says you put a comma where you're supposed to have a period, or you're supposed to put this sentence over here, or do something different with the data. So we're going to reject it, and we're going to not include that in the reports. That's interesting. She referred questions about why the department stopped reporting homicides in 1998 to former Chief Charles H. Ramsey, now head of the Philadelphia Police Department. Mr. Ramsey declined to comment. Anyway, this is a bunch of bullshit, okay? I'm trying to stick with all of the stats and not do too much editorializing, but this is really insane here. Let's move to something else, because I'm going to include links to these articles so you guys will have this information to look at. But, you can't have a voluntary system, bottom line. You can't have a voluntary system where people are like, on the one hand, you can report the crimes that are going on in these local neighborhoods and such, and the citizens should know what's going on, and they have a right to know, but the police departments are like, well, we don't really have an interest in reporting everything. We want to report some things, withhold others, or throw others in the garbage or something. Who knows? Okay, this is kind of interesting. I'll throw this in here because this kind of rounds out my idea of having smart police, having competition, and why you should care. There's a company called spotcrime.com. Spotcrime.com provides crime maps at the neighborhood level and sends alerts to Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. Okay, let's get right into this. Spotcrime.com is a Baltimore-based company founded in October 2007 and privately owned by Report C, that's Report SEE Incorporated. It provides nationwide crime information about arrests, arsons, assaults, burglaries, robberies, shootings, thefts, and vandalisms on a Google map. Spot Crime will map data for any police agency who supplies open and unrestricted access to crime data. So it looks like we need to get rid of the police departments or make it a federal crime and punishable by prison or something. Where if you have a system and you're receiving federal funding and the taxpayers are paying for this police department, your database should be open and unrestricted. Okay, that's a requirement that should have no exceptions, because at the heart of the matter, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at open and unrestricted access to data. We're in the 21st century, you fucking idiots, and you need to make sure that you give everyone access to what you're doing and how you're doing it. Okay, the taxpayers are paying for this. Okay, you're wasting the time of the taxpayers, the money of the taxpayers. You're wasting my time and everyone else's time by pretending to do a job if you're not doing it correctly. Okay, just so you guys know out there, Spot Crime is a crime data aggregator. We map crime incidents, plot them on Google Maps, and deliver alerts via email, Facebook, Twitter, SMS, RSS feeds, and a multitude of other platforms. The data comes from police departments, news reports, and user-generated content. Our goal is to provide the most accurate, timely, geocoded crime information to the public. So this is kind of important. Users, when we get access to information, if you see something in your neighborhood and you report it, that needs to go into a database, that's open and accessible, and probably decentralized to the point where at least it's redundant and no one controls it. No particular person controls it. Almost like the blockchain with the Bitcoin. That's what we need to bring to the police departments. Technology where you don't have the possibility of someone manipulating data that's put in there. We need to see and read exactly what's put into these crime reports databases, and without having the possibility of it being altered or manipulated. Anyone can access these maps and have the option to sign up to receive free crime alerts via email and text messages. In 2012, Spot Crime launched its own crime tip service, crimetip.us, allowing users to anonymously report crimes in their area. Let's see, what else I want to cover here. Spot Crime sends 200,000 crime email alerts to users in one day. That was in 2012, November the 20th. Spot Crime was included in a research paper funded by the U.S. Department of Justice and prepared by SCRA, that's Sam, Charlie, Ralph, Apple, titled Survey and Evaluation of Online Crime Mapping. Spot Crime creates Open Crime Standard, or SOX, SCOCS, in March 2014. It's available in lots of different applications. Spot Crime has a sister site called mylocalcrime.com. The data is formatted slightly differently between mylocalcrime and spotcrime.com. Spotcrime.info is easily viewable on a mobile browser. Report C Incorporated, that's Report C, SEE Incorporated, or I think that's otherwise known as Spot Crime, is also in charge of UCrime, a university crime mapping website. What else we want to cover here? Coverage area. Currently mapping data in over 500 cities in the United States, 10 in Canada, and London. And this is also about Spot Crime. Coverage area. What is the coverage area of Spot Crime? Let's see. Currently mapping data in over 500 cities in the United States, 10 in Canada, and London. Spot Crime will map data for any police agency who supplies open and unrestricted access to crime data. So that's the key word right there, you guys. Make sure it's open, make sure it's available, and then Spot Crime will report it. At the beginning of 2012, Spot Crime made its historical crime database available to anyone who asks, free of charge, by using Amazon's S3 technology. The data set is approximately 1 gigabyte of data. Data includes the type of crime, location, including latitude, longitude, coordinates, date, time, description, referral service for the data. There's lots of competition in this area. CrimeDar, crime, and then David, Apple, Robert.com, CrimeDar.com, CrimeReports.com, CrimeMapping.com, EveryBlock.com, MapNimbus, that's map, and then N as in Nancy, I as in Indian, M as in Mary, B as in boy, U as in umbrella, S as in Sam.com, MyNeighborhoodUpdate.net, there's RaidsOnline.com, RAIDS online.com. There was a lawsuit where, CrimeReports.com filed a lawsuit against Report C, or Spot Crime, for violating the terms of service, the terms of use on the Crime Reports website. Spot Crime's role in dispute of private outsourcing of public data. According to the Poynter Institute, Spot Crime's founder, Colin Drain, D-R-A-N-E, was sued by Public Engines, a competitor. Public Engines CEO acknowledges that the data he uses is public, but contends that it's up to the police agencies to make the data public. Poynter also acknowledges that some police agencies who have already partnered with other crime mapping sites are using existing agreements to control access to crime data. So this is an acknowledgement that police departments are trying to meter out or filter out who gets information and who doesn't, as far as this crime mapping information is concerned. Pointer, let me read this again if I didn't. Pointer also acknowledges that some police agencies who have already partnered with other crime mapping sites are using existing agreements to control access to crime data. This raises concerns over the ability of journalists to transparently receive data from police departments and the questions of exactly who constitutes media in a time of technological change. So that's very revealing right there. The police departments are working with their preferred crime mapping companies who, there could be conflict of interest. There could be someone in the police department, some family member, cousin, uncle, aunt, or somebody who runs a crime reporting company, and the police department wants to work with that company exclusively, and we may not even know that certain companies who are trying to get access to crime data aren't getting access, and certain ones who are getting access aren't exactly unbiased. So anyway, there's huge issues going on here. Okay, police departments have incompatible databases that are not reporting information correctly to the FBI or the Bureau of Statistics. The FBI is not demanding it. No one is held accountable. The police infrastructure all over the United States is old and antiquated, hasn't been updated, hasn't been brought into the 21st century. The unions are protecting the officers no matter what they do. You get police representation, and you get representation by the union, and they try to make sure that no matter what you do, you get off the hook. We're wasting a lot of taxpayer time and money by feeding into this old and antiquated police department infrastructure. I get calls from my customers all the time because I'm in surveillance and counter surveillance, and a lot of times my customers want to know why aren't the police better equipped to handle electronic harassment and or counter surveillance or something. Police can put trackers on vehicles or whatever, but if you have a tracker and you need to find it, the police can do nothing about helping you find it. So someone can put a tracker, including the police department, for instance, on your vehicle, but if you call them out there and ask them to help you find something, they're not trained. They say they can't help you, but they at the same time they can track you and monitor you. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? So, I'm just trying to let you guys know there are major issues here. I don't know whether or not the message is being conveyed to you with all this, so that you understand where I'm going with this. But starting off with low confidence levels in police departments, 20-year low, going into reporting or non-reporting in this case of the information, and then concluding with various companies in the private sector who are trying to tap into the database supplied by police departments. They're not getting access to all the things that they should be getting access to, but they're trying to do a good job. They're trying to let us know what's going on, and it's a mess. Okay, I don't know how else to put it. When you get a chance, go to Murder Accountability. Go to look at the Murder Accountability Project. Okay, this is at murderdata.org. www.murderdata.org. And they have what's known as the Murder Accountability Project. This is very revealing. Okay, looks like I'm almost using all my data on this particular podcast session here. But yeah, go to Murder Data. They're looking at the what they call the clearance rates. The clearance rates of in terms of crimes that are being resolved are going way down, and so yeah, we're getting more crimes that are not being cleared, and the clearance rate is I think the proper term is going. They're not being cleared basically. the national clearance rate was 61%,